Yeah, in Sonoma County, things that don't require a permit are simply randomly inspected but are granted an approval based on successful submission of the completed work order. So we'll have to work through those issues, but generally speaking, a lot of the improvements are going to require some type of a permit, whether it's a counter permit or a simple plan check or an in-field inspection. And what we're saying is what we're doing for things that don't require a permit is we'll do the verification of those at no additional cost.
Well, we can't.
Just because, if it's a part of a larger package.
Right. So let me explain. If insulation is only a part of it, and that normally doesn't require a permit, we will still go out there under the permit provisions that you are required to obtain a permit for, like if you replace all the windows in the building. Well, we're going to go out there and look at that anyway. So if insulation is part of that, or if the gray water system is included in that, our staff would be instructed to go ahead and inspect that and verify, even though that's not part of it, and record on there that that was inspected and approved as per what was applied for the grant, or excuse me, for the loan.
So my thought was, as just a lowly sub, not really used to the permit
Most particularly insulation.
process, because that's all I normally do. Would I be, say that's all they wanted to do, would I be responsible for getting that permit for my customer?
Yes.
That's a,
Yes.
so I need to learn how
If
to
there was
do
no
that.
other way for us
Like
to
a little
verify that,
counter
we'd have to
permit.
obtain a permit.
Well, this verification could simply be the final daily or the final report that's created by the contractor.
With the adage of a potential random inspection.
Because how we're going to report back to, and that's what I was going to get to, Robin, but I'll get to that, I'll jump to that a little early, is we're going to report back, all the building and safety agencies are going to report back to HCD via either through the county or independently as to when the permit card is signed off in the field, the applicant or the contractor, whomever, will want to take that to HCD and say, here's my permit card that's been signed off. But we're also going to send an independent verification that on this day, this permit number under this loan application at this address was approved by our agency, and we will send that weekly to HCD as a cross-reference for them to assure that whoever brought in the permit card, we don't know who may have signed off on that. I'm not indicating anyone in this room, but you know that that there is a secondary verification on these so that people understand. Just because you bring in that card, they're going to depend on our verification also before they'll come. And that's going to come from all of the agencies, not just ours.
So for somebody to use this, they're going to have a minimum $500 outlay before they even start. It's a $300 application and $200
$125 application fee is the only fee up front.
So, well, and then your permit fees will be up front.
And a permit fee.
If a permit is required.
Now, I want to caution you, too, on land use issues, because with the different agencies, you're going to find a little bit of differences. Now, just meeting with the city of Santa Barbara, we learned that Lompoc, Santa Maria, Santa Barbara County, Guadalupe, and Carpinteria, if you do a like-for-like window change-out, we allow that. We still require the permit. However, the city of Santa Barbara has something in their municipal code that requires access or egress, emergency egress be framed in if you change out windows. So those are going to be some of the small differences that you as contractors, if you're going to get involved in those type of permits, you may want to find out from the individual agencies and do some homework up front and find out, is that going to be required from that agency that if you change out windows, the bedroom windows will have to meet the emergency egress, ingress requirements, okay? That's nothing we can do. That's in their municipal code. They require that. Even though most of the other agencies are very consistent, even the city of Santa Barbara, we're all pretty consistent on what we're going to require permits for and what the conditions will be on those permits. And we're all looking toward expediting those permits like we normally do in Santa Barbara County for like photovoltaic systems. We try to get them out very quickly. I have a policy out that we get them out within 10 days. So, but I want to caution you, when you are applying for permits like photovoltaic systems that are going to be large, some residences may want a photovoltaic system that's rather large in size, as big as this room, if you will. Now, if that's going to be a ground-mounted system, you have to be careful that that may trigger a land use review or some type of BAR or some type of land use requirement that will require a land use permit in addition to a building permit. That will not exempt you from those. Those are the type of permits that you're going to be looking at with your clients, okay? So you want to educate your clients. I have one in Santa Barbara recently, a little anecdote that they came in to apply for a ground-mounted photovoltaic system, and because they were not putting it within their developed area that they were approved for, my response back to them was, I can get this out in 10 days, however, I can't issue the permit until you go in for a map remodification because you're outside your development plan. So you want to educate your clients that there are certain conditions on the land use side that they want to be careful of when you're doing very large projects like photovoltaic systems that are going to be ground mounted. Even some of the ones that are going to be mounted on roofs may require a land use BAR review. So we want you to understand that we're doing our best. All the cities and county are coming together to do their best to expedite this, but there are still regulations that are going to have to be followed regardless because we have to comply with the law. Yes?
Is there any movement towards online permit applications, anything like that for solar?
For which agencies?
Well, for submittal of a permit application. Because there's just a lot of paperwork that goes into
Sure.
submitting for that, and it seems like if we can streamline it with today's technology.
Yeah, we're looking at that in the county, but I can't speak for the other cities because I don't know exactly
Sure.
how their permitting systems work. And I can share this with you. You're going to run into your normal array of different permit processes, no matter how much we try to work together, the different cities in the county, to be as consistent as possible. I assure you that if you go to apply for a permit in the city of Santa Maria, there's going to be a little bit of difference between the city of Santa Maria and the county of Santa Barbara and the city of Longmont. There's going to be a big difference if you go to the city of Guadalupe, because they have a very small agency. So everything there is done by hand. Everything in the city of Carpinteria is pretty much done by hand. We also, the city of Goleta, if anyone is interested in doing work down there, they have an outside agency that does their building and safety. Similar to the city of Guadalupe, they have JAS, and Wildan does the city of Goleta. So as much as we're trying to come together, there's going to be differences that we have no control over, and that will affect your permitting process. So getting back to the key point, which keeps coming up, is on the funding. As soon as our inspection staff performs the final inspection, we only report one time to HCD. That's all the requirement that we have on our side for the reporting. So we're only going to report at the end when you're complete. Now, the city building officials and I have discussed, if you have a project that is only a part of a major project, or if you have a permit for the Empower SBC that's only a part of a different permit. Let's say you're going to do a room addition, and as Dave brought up, you want to do a Empower SBC permit with that. We will have provisions where we will final that part of it off, even though the rest of the building may not be done, provided that can happen. There are some permits where you cannot get the sign off until the final is done, because part of the energy package is that all the final elements be put together, lighting, windows, weatherization, and that kind of stuff. So that'll be up to the contractor too. If you're looking at doing a permit and you want to bifurcate out the two types of sign-offs, you have to make sure that you talk to the agency and are clear on, can I get this final prior to the building final, or am I going to have to wait until all the elements come together? Which in some cases we can do, but there's other cases we're not going to be able to do, because you have to have all of the final exterior stuff put on before we can final that, which is your energy requirements, okay? You look like you have a question.
On a large project, is there any negotiation for releasing funds for it being done, yes. Because then the contractor becomes the bank.
Or the program participant themselves could upfront money somehow, through another
They can't
financing source
put into their
potentially.
contract, give the contractor any more than $1,000. So if they're providing a very large piece of equipment, like the rotating array, that's a big chunk of change.
It's just like replacing a roof with a cool roof.
Right.
It's a major project.
Yes. That's
So
why
it's a
that's why
fairly
they're so freaked out
complex
about it.
answer. The short answer is no. And that is because if we do partial payments, it triggers multiple amortization schedules and multiple recordations on the assessment roll. And it becomes an accounting and an administrative nightmare that drives the cost of the program up to the participant. And so what we're encouraging is this ability to bifurcate so that the Empower SBC components of the larger project can be finalized early on, we can release that payment, which can then act in